Sorry, unfortunately,
what do most of us miss food-wise?
Well, our food supply is horrifically deficient, and it's because of our soil. It's because of commercial farming. The problem is that commercial farmers depend so much on fertilizers, pesticides, chemicals to keep the plants healthy. And in actuality, they're far from it. Organic farming, on the other hand,
I was going to say organic.
Yeah, organic farming, on the other hand, the farmers know they have to utilize that soil. They're going to get the most out of that soil. If they nourish that soil and have optimal nutrients in that soil, then that plant is going to have an awesome immune system. It's going to be healthy, and that's going to keep the bugs away.
So in other words, I grab two. I'm in a store.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even name the name of the store. I'll grab a tomato from where everybody else is buying tomatoes, and I go over to the Whole Food section and grab another tomato.
Yeah.
And they look to me about the same.
Right.
No?
No, nutritionally the organic has more nutrients in it. It has to, because the soil is richer. The organic farmers know that it has to be richer in order to keep bugs away. It's a natural defense mechanism. Bugs look and attack sick plants. So commercial farmers don't utilize that. I don't know if they know it,
they put chemical armor around their sick plants to keep them from getting bug infested.
Bingo.
And then you end up with the chemicals.
We get the chemical residue.
Talked about that. The residues. Talk about that a bit.
Well, the residues accumulate in the body. They're gonna develop. They can accumulate and cause cancer and other diseases later on in life. And the very nutrients that would help our bodies get rid of the pesticides naturally are just not there if you're not eating organic foods.
So we get double whammy. One, that sometimes the foods we're eating are poisoning us, and the foods have so little benefit in them that our normal capacity to ward off the poisons is gone.
Yes.
Because the foods aren't giving us what we need.
Yes.
And that
I'm
brings
kind of depressed about that.
Wait a second, but you remember what you mentioned earlier about, is there a way to like cleanse your body once a year or do some kind of...
Yeah, it's the springtime. We've heard about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you give us like a short, like what is a cleansing? And like, it sounds pretty bizarre. Is it weird? Is it got to be done? What does it do?
Well, I recommend cleanses about twice a year for most Americans, especially with the garbage diets that we typically consume in our fast-paced society, because those foods don't readily leave our bodies. They're low in fiber, they're low in nutrients, and we excess body weight is just carrying around excess toxins from our diet and stress. And so once or twice a year, it's good to give our bodies a spring cleaning. Just a once-over, just clean out. And what that usually...
You stop eating for a couple of weeks, or?
No, it doesn't have to be that extreme. I don't particularly recommend that. I do recommend fruits and vegetables and water and certain specific foods, depending on the patient themselves. Again, I test them individually, so I know exactly what I'm recommending them is perfect for them. Even the amount of time that they need to get the benefits. And what this allows to do is it allows the body to focus its energy on cleaning rather than digesting. When we eat McDonald's, when we eat packaged foods all the time, all our energy is focused on digesting what we just ate. But if you eat less stressful foods like fruits and vegetables, then the body can then repair tissue.
So it's kind of a timeout.
It's a timeout.
Like a one-day
It's a timeout. Like, give your body a break, let it heal, and it will heal itself if you give it that opportunity.
So again, your attitude toward most of us most of the time is that we're punishing ourselves food-wise.
On a daily basis.
And that one of the ways to kind of do a jump start toward health is by these twice annual timeouts.
Hey, we do it to our house. We clean up our cars. We do our spring cleaning on our house. Why not our body? I mean, without your body, you have nothing.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just trying to figure out how to get into an area about the relative importance of eating the right foods versus supplementing with other kinds of, like what you talked about, organic supplements. How do you talk through patients? I mean, is it possible, for example, you could have like an alternative, either you should eat, and I'm making these things up, but 15 pounds of zucchini or its equivalent a day, or you'd better eat this particular supplement. How does that work?
Well, I go through the exam and I find out where the person's weaknesses are. Like in a lot of cases, the liver, for instance, will be hindered or compromised in some way. So it's usually a compromise with the patient. What can you handle? What does your lifestyle allow you to without you being miserable and giving up on this, because if I give someone a recommendation that's so off the wall, like eating 15 pounds of zucchini, they're not going to come back. They're not going to comply.
And they're not going to do it, right?
They're not going to comply. So it's to some degree a negotiation. Well, okay, I'll do this, but I won't do this. And if they will, and depending on what they will do or won't do, then I will improvise with supplements to complement it.
So in the best of all perfect world, they would eat good organic foods, and you wouldn't have to do much, if any, supplementation.
Absolutely, exactly.
But it's a shortcut. Supplementation's a shortcut, and people should do some of that if they're...
It's an add-on. It's also eat well, and
it's like insurance. I mean, I don't know what's the right metaphor for supplementation.
What I tell people is that when they come into my office, they've already made a conscious decision that they're going to stop abusing themselves in some way, shape, or form.
That's like halfway to getting better, don't you think?
Yeah. So if they say, okay, I'm not going to eat this cheeseburger, I'm going to eat a salad now, that's fantastic. You're on your way. The food that you eat is a that you lay, but the analogy that I give people is like a bank account. If you were to have $1 million bank account that you kept making withdrawals from week after week after week, and you never made a deposit, you're going to have no money left. And if you had $10 left and you said, oh my goodness, I have $10 left, where did my $1 million go? I better stop making withdrawals. That's what we do when we decide to become healthy. I only have $10 left. I got to start eating salads. Okay? So the supplements are making those deposits. If you stop making withdrawals, that's fantastic. That's part of the picture. You're not going to lose that $10 now. You're going to build, but you have to do both. Right. Because you have to replace decades of damage and deficiency. You have to build that up again.
So I hear you. So you stop making yourself problems organically, but then you want to build the deficits and fix them up, and so that's where supplementation
And you can't just take the supplements and keep on having an unhealthy diet, right?
Some of my patients do. I don't recommend it, but that's what's comfortable for them. That's the way they make ends meet, because it's just mentally, whatever the reason is, it's you know, that's what their compromise.
Easier, cheaper, quicker, and so they try to like slap on a Band-Aid of supplements to make themselves
I don't mean to put you on the spot, but can you give me an example of your success story of a patient, like one that was a terrible diet, this and that, and then all of a sudden
there's so many. Okay, well, my latest one briefly with TBM, because it's one of my most exciting ones. I had a patient who had been seeing me for quite some time, and I had helped her with her hot flashes tremendously through supplementation and diet recommendations. I had gotten her off her caffeine. I gave her specific supplements to support her hormones. Everything was wonderful. And then some emotional stuff got in the way. Months later, you know, and that will also, bring
Eat
about
up nutrients and demand some kind of change.
Stress. Absolutely. So she's back to square one again after all this work that we had done. So I did some TBM on her, and I removed some nerve interference that was, possibly hindering her energy flow and to, have normal function. And she emailed me the very next day. She said the hot flashes were gone immediately.
Wow.
So you're pretty high on that new.
You're excited.
I'm excited.
You're excited. Well, we'll have to have a revisit when you have that mastered, and I can get a little feel for that.
But that's just with TBM. I'll tell you one other story using supplements. I had a woman who was a hairdresser, very chemically sensitive, but chemically toxic. I put her on a cleanse for 3 weeks. Because we were talking about cleanses, I thought that would be appropriate. She's, in fact, she's in my newsletter. I have her testimony in my newsletter that I just put out. She noticed her nails weren't growing, her hair wasn't growing, she had a lot of digestive problems, she was bloated all the time, a lot of different symptoms. And after doing the cleanse for 3 weeks, everything was better.
Did she lose any weight?
Yes, she lost weight, of course.
But I mean, would you also tell her to maybe think of making her money some other way because her job's killing her? I mean, is that a conclusion you might draw?
I sometimes mention that to patients, but that's an easier thing to say than to do.
Right, but I mean, it's like it work that way, not tomorrow, but over 6 months, 8 months.
Yeah.
I have to ask you, if some of our viewers are interested in contacting you, where would they go about? How would they go about getting in touch with you, Rebecca?
They can call me, my telephone number, or my website. Should I give you them the number?
Yeah. What's the name of the website?
PureNEWtrition.com. It's one word. It's PureNEWtrition.com. Pure Nutrition is my company, and if you notice, I spelled N-E-W instead of nutrition.
Right.
Because new.
It's a new way of having.
It's a new way of life, but wasn't my intention. People are new again. well, you are what you eat. And so many of my patients say, all my problems are gone, or 90% of their problems are gone. I don't want to, you know, but you know, they are such a different person than where they were a month ago or a year ago, that they really have a new lease on life.
Well, Rebecca, we appreciate you coming by. Irina, thank you for bringing her to us. That's great.
Yeah.
I'd like to have you back on again sometime real soon.
Sure.
Thanks for coming. Folks at home, I hope you enjoyed Touchstones this evening.